is said that there are two things in life that we can depend upon. Got any guesses? Death and taxes. Yes, class participation is 10% of your grade today. Death and taxes. Well, apparently, taxes, yes. Death, not so much. You see, I want you to imagine this. The funeral home industry is actually losing sales. You see, you must lament the fact that we are not dying at the rate we once did. We're simply living longer. And while there is a whole theory around disruptive technologies developed by the art school up the river from us, what's it called? Oh, Harvard, that's it. The idea that technology comes out of nowhere and totally blows away your business model and what you do. We know that for a fact that technology is 1 part hope, 2 parts engineering. Economics, we know, is 2 parts witchcraft, 1 part math. But demography, ladies and gentlemen, is truly destiny. And one of the things I want to show you today is where is demography and lifestyles going in terms of how mobility is going to be shaped. We've been speaking about mobility. I want you to think in terms of motility. Motility are those variables that go into the desire to travel. Infrastructure in vehicles is about the ability to travel. It does not drive the activity that's there. So the first one I want to speak to you about is life expectancy. I've got great news for you. Do you know that the children born in the so-called developed world, Europe, North America, parts of Asia, born in 2007, half of them are likely to live well beyond 100. Start thinking about what that means. Not how many jobs will you have, how many careers will you have? Do you think your education of 25 years of education is going to last you for 100 years? Will my wife of 32 years want to hear the same jokes over and over again for the next 32 years? But around the world, you know, Germany, I do a lot of work in Germany. I love their sense of innovation. When they see aging, they see an innovation opportunity. They're developing anti-aging beer. But 1/3 of their population by mid-century is going to be over the age of 55. Start thinking in terms of mobility, but also workforce. Who are going to build the vehicles? Who's going to operate the system? Who is going to do the work? Who is going to buy the products? Italy, particularly Sicily, Greece, Spain, they have entire villages that are emptying out now because, frankly, younger people have moved away, or frankly, as we'll find in a moment, we're not having younger people at all. Did you ever think in your lifetime that China would have a workforce shortage? Imagine this. The population of the United States by mid-century is about 400 million. The population of folks over 60 in China will be over 400 million. And the median age in Europe and in China will be somewhere around midlife crisis, if you will. And this slide will burn into your brain for the rest of the day. There are more adult diapers being sold in Japan than there are baby diapers. And does anyone know what the immigration policy of Japan is? Let me sum it up for you. No. And as a result, we now have essentially an island that is becoming a nursing home, where by mid-century we will have more than 40% of the population will be over age 60 and with very few children. And do these people look like they're going to age the same as our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents? They aged politely. Ladies and gentlemen, the older population is not going to be the same. They have more education, they have better health, and they have lots of money. And in the United States, the baby boomers are now turning 500 of them are turning 72 every hour. But here's the thing. This is the new longevity economy. This is not your parents' old age. This is not the mobility I'm going to wait at home and hope the grandchildren come visit, or maybe you'll take me out to dinner. No, this is 30% of the buying power in most countries and the 3rd largest economy in the world. If you just look at the 50 plus in the United States alone, they make up 70% of the disposable income. These are the folks who buy the high tech, high style, and high price. And when you have that much money, what are you going to do with it? You're going to want to get out. Remember, mobility is the ability to move. Education, income, and the willingness to want to experience something different, that is motility. The future is not just gray. It is indeed small. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we've gotten older because, frankly, we're not just living longer. We've stopped having children. Just plain stop. This has happened before with war and famine and disease. But now we've stopped because, frankly, I guess teenagers are just too much trouble. By 2047, there will be more people on the planet over age 60 than there will be children under the age of 15. The Danes financed a study to find out that they have more sex outside of Denmark than they do inside the country. So they actually have an advertising campaign to send people away to go and have sex in Paris, New York, London, someplace. Just do it and then come back with hopefully a souvenir. And of course, as you can see, the whole tagline is, do it for Denmark. Don't worry, the Russians also have Make a Patriot Day. And we're essentially living alone. Think about freight transportation and mobility in general. It is driven by the composition of households. That is what demands mobility. We are now living in single family homes, as in one house, one person per house or apartment, more than ever before. These numbers seem a little bit low, but they have nearly doubled in the last 20 years. In fact, think about these cities: Munich, Oslo, Paris, Brussels. More than half the households are households of one. And in the United States, I have proof here that no one wants to live with anyone in Washington, D.C., but more than 48% of people there are living by themselves as well. And this is translating into smaller houses. I love this because it looks like the dog is actually bigger than the house itself. But the fact of the matter is that the kids are moving out because we never had them, we're living alone, or at least we're buying dogs. In fact, the real estate industry worldwide is planning for transportation and housing and lifestyles that is one house, one person plus dog living, and that's it. And in fact, you can see a lot around you. Think about how this is changing where we shop, what we buy, how freight will be transported, who does the transportation to go out and buy. This smaller shopping cart is now the fastest growing shopping cart around the world. Is that because of the obesity crisis? No. No one needs to go out for 5 acres of parking lot and 3 acres of store to buy one product. Speaking of one product, even the confectionery business, the baking industry, is now ready for this, making birthday cakes for a party of one. So the world is gray. It is small, but it's also delayed. The younger population, the millennials, if you will, what we call them, the folks in their 20s, early 30s, their demand of transportation is going to be fundamentally different. Not just because they're in urban areas, but frankly, they're not in the life stage. In fact, one of the things that we've been looking at both in Europe and North America and Australia, 27 is the new 17. People that what they were doing at 17, whether getting driver's licenses, getting a job, dating, whatever, we're now waiting nearly a whole decade. Look at this. Nearly half the children between 18 and 34 are living at home. Nearly a third of them are living at home in the United States as well. They're in your basement playing video games. They're not going to need much transportation. The things that drive transportation is household formation, what you put in the refrigerator, the furniture that you buy, the things you do. And what we're finding is that the folks that are building new households are people over the age of 45 and 50. It is not the traditional age that we used to think about. Profound changes for real estate, profound changes for land use, and certainly profound changes for mobility. We're delaying marriage and even partnering up across the generations. And in fact, even getting married now is being delayed 6-7 years longer than we've ever seen before in history. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to put the ring on, so to speak, but folks are not just dating. In Japan and China and Taiwan, they have celibacy syndrome. I'm not a biologist, but fertility gets hurt when 40% of the population under 40 says they're not even interested in having sex. Therefore, the numbers of people out there that are, shall we say, moving, not nearly as much. So indeed, it's gray, it is small, it is delayed, but ladies and gentlemen, actually just the ladies, the gentlemen you may leave now, is it decidedly female. The future is female. What do we mean by that? Well, frankly, women now have more education worldwide in all fields but engineering, but probably will eclipse that in the next 5 years. And think about what that means. It means the ability to do the research, the idea of being the consumer, the smart consumer. In fact, speaking of consumers, the person that is buying cars, making the decisions of what's in the house, those different trips. In fact, women already travel fewer miles or kilometers than men, but they make far more trips. Why? It's all the things they do. They work. They're the caregiver. They're the shopper. They're the ones who are the chief consumer officer of the house. When we think about the future of mobility, think of what she is doing and what she demands, because that is what we're going to be having to support. And in fact, she's buying everything already. In fact, if you just look at the auto industry, more than 60% of the cars are directly purchased or influenced by women. Unless, of course, it's a luxury car. And then it goes up to 86%. And what's the new women's movement? Over age 50, women are more likely to go back to work. They are more likely in the United States to start new companies. And frankly, they're the ones that are going to go out and do things, either caring for elderly parents, children, or frankly, they probably have somebody at home that can't make a tuna fish sandwich, so they have to take care of that as well. In fact, one of the things that we're understanding about women is that they are looking for new experiences, new things to do, to get out there. They are going to be the driver of mobility in the future. In fact, Jessica Lange, the actress, was quoted as saying, "Really, all I care about now is, have I done it before? What is there more to do that's an experience that's different? We have a license to thrill. And instead, we have this fellow." And this sounds like a joke. The highest divorce rate in the world now is for people over the age of 50. Does anyone want to know why they would divorce this big hunk of man? He's a pet lover, after all. 90% of the divorces in Europe, so-called gray divorce, and the United States are initiated by the woman. Why? Is it money? Would have made an interesting slide. Is it sex? That could have been a really good slide. No? You ready for this? He bores me is the #1 reason. What I'm telling you is that the next generation of women, and older women in particular, are going to be demanding new experiences, new things to do. They will be the drivers of mobility because they have the motility, that is the desire to do new and different. So the future is here, as the writer Gibson said, but it's not widely distributed. Let me focus this a little bit more directly on mobility as a few, shall we say, hallucinations or visions, depending on your level of kindness. The first one is all the technology that we've talked about. The autonomous vehicle is going to be a very long road to getting there. In my lab, we have 5 such cars. But I have to tell you, in between, there will be many technologies that you're going to have to learn before we slowly transition to that car. Guess what? The people who buy the high-tech, high-style, high-priced, and the cars with all the gadgets look a lot like somebody who's well over 50, 60, and 70. Why is that an issue? It's not that older adults don't like technology. That is a misnomer. What's the reality is that if you've been driving for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you have a mental model on how things work. And the likelihood of you wanting to adjust to something else, unless it's dramatically better, not so much. The car industry dealt with the central controller issue. Remember when those first came out in 2005? They were being trashed by the marketplace. What is this thing? It moves something on the screen, but it doesn't go this way and it doesn't go that way. Wait a minute. The average 50-year-old in our research, you know what they said it was? Oh my God, this is a mouse. But wait a minute. This mouse does not move. This mouse does not get me to the top of the screen. This is a very bad mouse. The mental models, if you will, of the older driver are going to be slowing down, if you will, the advancement of technology behind the wheel. This is the age gain now empathy system. Please come to my lab to feel the joys of being 80 years old with 2 chronic conditions, diabetes and arthritis. We developed this with Daimler and Siemens a number of years ago. And basically the suit allows the user to feel the friction, the fatigue, and the frustration, if you will, of, frankly, the fact that we're going to have to redesign the streets. Transportation, the original equipment that we're given, is the #1 mode that people still use. The community needs to be improved so that happens for all. Signage and lighting and benches, things that we take for granted, all have to be changed for the new aging population. And frankly, the rail services, access to entire facilities must be changed and adjusted, not because it's nice, not because it's polite, but guess what? If I make it better for an older person, it is then possible and easier and more convenient for everyone at every age. All entire communities will have to be redesigned. They have the intensity, the density, and the accessibility that makes cities such as Zurich as exciting and wonderful as they are. But Zurich is much an outlier. That is your success. What we need now is to start to retrofit communities around the world so that they are not just age-friendly, but frankly, activity-friendly as well. The driverless car captures the imagination. One of the justifications for this vehicle is it's going to help all those people who can't drive, all those people who don't want to drive. I want to have you think about this. If you are not well enough to drive, if you have cognitive issues, if you have physical disability issues, who's going to get you into the car? I have no question about the car taking you where you want, but the last 8-meter problem, or as I say at home, the last 25 feet problem, is going to be the real barrier to realizing, frankly, the sales pitch that the driverless car is going to help provide mobility to this large group. Who's going to put mom in the car? Who's going to take her out? At what point do you put her in the car? If half the population over age 85 is going to have a cognitive or dementia-related issue, are you going to put your mom in at 85? Do you put her in at 90? What is the age? What's the breakdown as to the dream? Transportation and mobility people need to think in systems, not of vehicles, not just of infrastructure, but of the user as well. So will we need robotic licenses of a rider license? Will we need to put humans back into the driverless car to make sure that she can get where she wants to be? All of a sudden, dismissing the value, if you will, of that car overall. And the autonomous car, every new technology always brings great solutions, but remember, technology always introduces at least one or two new problems. So I want you to imagine this. You now can have a vision of riding 100 miles an hour, bumper to bumper, going where you want, writing emails, sleeping, taking a drink, whatever it might be. There's something called Marchetti's constant, which basically says that humans, since we crawl out of the ooze, are willing to travel at least 30 minutes to an hour to go wherever it is we want to go. If I now can sleep for a half hour or an hour at 50 or 100 miles an hour as this vision of autonomous vehicles starts to take place, what does this mean for the future of cities? Will the millennials who can't afford to live in the city today create the largest urban sprawl that we've ever seen before? Because frankly, it's going to be cheaper, frankly, very nice in the countryside to live 50 to 100 miles away, where the morning commute will be the same you have today, but now you live far further away. But there will be some people who just don't want to move. Mobility is about not just your body getting there, but bringing your mind there. So virtual reality, some of my students have been working on using virtual reality to take older people, particularly 85 plus and the like, wherever they want to go. By the way, we can take them to Paris, we can take them to Louvre, we can take them to all kinds of places. The number one place they want to go is see the house that they grew up in. And then lastly, the Internet of Things will be able to provide you a checkup a day. How many of you have been to Japan? Any of you? How many of you use a smart toilet? Very quickly, I just want you to give the image of having a checkup a day without ever having to leave your house. The toilet will, shall we say, I'll keep it clean around, download from the user your body weight. Did you take your medication? Are you eating correctly? And then upload that data to the hospital or dietitian or a call center, whatever it might be. Don't worry, the Brits have now entered the toilet wars in addition to the Japanese. The toilet is going to facilitate home delivery of the food that apparently your toilet thinks is missing from your diet. On that note, thank you very much.